Taurus 11, a woman sprinkling flowers. This metaphor applies to how we develop a relationship with ego. So it implies that we take the position of soul, having an ego, having a personality and a body, but it's the soul that we identify ourselves as. And we treat our ego as a woman with the watering can would treat the flower. So she's caring for it, she's giving it what it needs, and she's doing that in a way which is engendering beauty in the flower. It's a flower, it's not a vegetable, it's not a root vegetable that's good for you but ugly. It's a flower, it's not particularly good for you, it's good for the world and good for bees and so on, and indirectly good for everyone, but it's a flower, it's meant to be beautiful. And the ego is that. We're focusing on the aspect of the ego that's beautiful and can win influence in society through beauty and grace. So what is it that we do to nurture the ego? And this question is addressed here. We develop care, the quality of care. So the watering of flowers is a demonstration of care. It's the relationship between the human species and the natural kingdom. And it shows how we can help nature become even more impressive and beautiful. And we do this by caring for growing things. Now, we could take the imagery further and we could care for cats and dogs and children and other people. We could just care as a way of life. We care about things. We care about people's feelings. We care about keeping a good garden. We care about living things continuing to live in a healthy way. We can care about the planet and environmental questions. We care. And developing this quality of care, as we see in this example, can be done through practice. It's the same with every quality. If you want to develop a quality, then you just practice that quality. And practice is a perfecting exercise. It makes things more and more so. So the reason why we practice care is because we feel the quality of care is wholesome and good and leads us towards happiness. That's one reason. Secondly, because we want there to be care in the world. The world's a nicer place with people caring for each other. And the implication here is that we're going to be cared for. Everything that we give out is going to come back to us, and we want to receive care. We want to feel cared for. So we offer something to a living thing that we want to receive ourselves. And care is how we express that quality with which we want to feed the ego. We do want to feed the ego. Let's just get that clear. Nothing wrong with the ego. Something a little bit dysfunctional about egotism, which is where I'm more important than you. But egoism, I'm important, is a God-given lovely thing. Ego's good. Attachment to my ego over your ego, no, not good. So, if I'm actually celebrating my sense of self, and my beauty, and my capabilities, and my power, and my desires, if I'm celebrating all of this, and you come along and you want to celebrate all of yours, I feel very, very good about that, because that enables me to celebrate mine all the more so. So, that's egoism. Egotism is where you celebrating your ego stops me somehow from celebrating mine. And both of us then are lost into egotism. What we're doing here is suggesting that by caring, we move from egotism to egoism. We actually care for that person's ego, and they care for our ego, and we all care for each other's ego. Ego simply defines us as being different from each other. It just means I. It doesn't mean I am important or I am not you. It just means that we're distinct and we're experiencing spirit in diversity. There cannot be diversity without separation into unique bits of spirit. And one unique bit of spirit is my ego. And another is your ego. And without diversity, then what? Similarity, conformity, boredom, nothing. Diversity is a requirement for us to have richness, and to celebrate the differences is how we experience and promote richness. What we're understanding is that we are, just by being alive, in stewardship. We're all of us stewards. And we can see that on different levels. We're stewards of ourselves. That's the first thing. And this cultivation of ego is how we steward ourselves. The soul stewarding the ego. But stewardship itself, in other words, care at a very high level of responsibility. Caring for someone until they're no longer in your sight is limited. But stewardship is like anticipating the need for you to care in advance of the demand for it. So you make your child's breakfast before they get up. You pack their lunch box before they get hungry at lunchtime. It's obvious on that level. But there's another level where we have to just take care of ourselves when we're young, because we're going to be old one day. And we do that by resisting habits, alcohol and cigarettes and bad food, lots of sugar. All of us want the taste of all of that. Try it. Some of us get to like it a lot, and some of us get addicted to that kind of stuff. But that's not very good at taking care of the body in the long term. If you want to care for yourself, you've got to take care of your physical body. That's obvious. Well, really should be obvious. But there's more in there. The physical body actually has no more relevance after a certain handful of decades. It's no longer an important part of what we are. The mind, however, and the emotional body, they are. They're an important part of who we are after we leave this physical world. And it's no good just ignoring that. It's actually also important in this lifetime. So we need to care for our emotional body and our mental body every bit as much as our physical body, and perhaps even more so as you get older. And how to care for yourself has a lot to do with the people that you mix with. So if you hang out with idiots, or addicts, or violent people, or self-indulgent people, or cynics, or pessimists, or, the people that you don't want to become, well, you shouldn't. You become like whomever you hang out with. And that includes your boss. If your boss is a bit of a nasty turn of work, you're in the wrong job. It's not okay to say, well, he's my boss, I've got to put up with him. That's not okay. Find a way. You mustn't hang out with people unless you want to become like them. That's how you care for yourself. And that's also true of thinking. If you actually allow yourself to be in the company of people that talk nonsense, they've got silly ideas, and they're wrong, and you might feel a bit self-important because they're wrong and they don't. I feel like that quite often. But the thing to do is not to have that feeling, not to indulge that feeling of intellectual supremacy, but to actually move away from the people that don't give your mind good food. And that's being able to put another point of view, another perspective. It's no good being with people that agree with you all the time, any more than people that can't understand you all the time. You want to find people to talk to where your mind is engaged, and you sometimes change your perspective, and you have respect for their point of view. that's what the mind likes. That's caring for the mind. So this idea of sprinkling water on flowers, that's an indication of our ability and willingness and human inclination to care. And you take that to the nth degree, and it means you have to care for your body and your emotions and your mind and everyone around you, and choose where to be, who to be with, and what to do and what not to do. Choose that very carefully. That's the stewardship of yourself that you need to learn.